My wife said my promotion was no big deal and told me not to be proud. 1 week later, at her company dinner, her CEO stood up, pointed at me, and made the entire room applaud. I'm 34, been married for 6 years, and I work in tech consulting. My wife works at a pharmaceutical company in project management. We've always been competitive, but it was the fun kind. Or at least I thought it was until 3 weeks ago when I got promoted to senior consultant. I came home on a Thursday evening around 7. No, I'd stayed late at the office because my boss wanted to go over the new responsibilities with me. I was excited. This promotion meant better pay, more interesting projects, and recognition for the 70-hour weeks I'd been putting in for the past year. I walked through the door holding a bottle of champagne I'd picked up on the way home. "Guess what?" I said, setting the bottle on the kitchen counter. She was chopping vegetables for dinner. Didn't look up. "What?" "I got the promotion. Senior consultant. They announced it today." She paused for a second, then continued chopping. "Oh, that's nice, nice, that was it." I stood there waiting for something more. A hug, a smile, anything. She just kept chopping. "I thought maybe we could celebrate," I said, gesturing to the champagne. She finally looked up. "Your promotion isn't a big deal. Anyone could get that position. Don't act proud." The knife hit the cutting board with a sharp thwack. I felt like I'd been slapped. "What?" I said. "I'm just being realistic. It's not like you made partner or something. You're a senior consultant. Congratulations. You're middle management now." She went back to the vegetables. "Besides, I'm tired. I don't feel like celebrating." I picked up the champagne and put it in the fridge. All right, that was it. I didn't argue, didn't defend myself. I just went upstairs, changed out of my work clothes, and came back down for dinner. We ate in near silence. She talked about her day, some project that was giving her trouble, her annoying coworker. I listened, said the appropriate things. Inside, I felt hollow. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling while she slept next to me. 6 years of marriage, and this is what my achievement got me. Dismissal, belittlement. I thought about all the times I'd celebrated her wins. The project launch, her own promotion last year. Even the small stuff like when she finished a difficult presentation. I'd always been there, champagne in hand, telling her how proud I was. Update 1. The next week was tense. I didn't bring up the promotion again. At work, my colleagues congratulated me. We went out for drinks on Friday. They asked why my wife wasn't there. I made up an excuse about her being busy. Truth was, I hadn't invited her. What was the point? On Tuesday evening, she came home and tossed an envelope on the counter. "We need to go to this." I picked it up. An invitation to her company's annual dinner. Black tie event, some fancy hotel downtown. It was scheduled for Saturday. "Do I have to?" I asked. "Yes, you have to. Everyone brings their spouse. It would look weird if you didn't come." "Fine." She looked at me strangely. "What's with the attitude?" "No attitude. I said I'd go." She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something, then closed it, went to the bedroom. Saturday arrived. I put on my suit. She wore a navy dress. We drove to the hotel in silence. The ballroom was full of people from her company, executives, managers, staff. I recognized a few faces from previous events. We sat at a table with some of her colleagues and their partners. Everyone was polite, making small talk. I smiled and nodded, played the supportive husband. About an hour into the dinner, after the meal was served, the CEO stood up to give a speech. He talked about company achievements, thanked various departments, the usual corporate stuff. I was barely paying attention, just moving food around my plate. Then he said something that made me sit up straight. "I also want to take a moment to recognize some external contributions that made a significant impact on our operations this year. Specifically, the consulting work done for our digital transformation project. My wife's company had been one of my major clients for the past 8 months. I'd led the team that overhauled their entire project management system. It was the reason I got promoted, actually. But my wife and I had an unspoken rule about not mixing our professional lives. She knew I worked with her company, but we never discussed the details." The CEO continued. "The lead consultant on that project delivered exceptional work. I believe he's actually here tonight as a guest." He looked around the room. "Is he here?" My wife's colleague, the one sitting next to her, suddenly pointed at me. "That's him." The CEO smiled. "Would you mind standing? I'd like to thank you publicly." I stood up slowly. Every eye in the room turned toward me. The CEO started clapping and the entire ballroom erupted in applause. He went on for another minute about how the new system had clears throat, improved their efficiency by 40%, how my team had been professional and innovative, how they had already recommended us to their parent company. I glanced at my wife. Her face had gone completely still. She was staring at her plate, shoulders tight. Her friends at the table were looking between us, confused. One of them leaned over and whispered something to her. She didn't respond. The CEO wrapped up and I sat back down. The table was silent for a beat, then everyone started talking at once. You never mentioned you were working with our company. One colleague said, that project was incredible. Another added, you led that? My wife's closest friend at work looked at her. You knew about this, right? My wife finally lifted her head. I knew he did consulting work. I didn't know the details, but this is huge, the friend pressed. The CEO never publicly thanks external consultants. This is a massive deal. My wife's jaw clenched. She picked up her wine glass and took a long drink. Didn't look at me. Didn't say congratulations. Just sat there while her colleagues praised me while people from other tables came over to shake my hand while her boss stopped by to tell me they'd be requesting me specifically for future projects. She lowered her eyes so fast when the CEO mentioned the 40% efficiency improvement that her friends immediately stopped talking. They noticed. Everyone at that table noticed. Update 2. The car ride home was silent. Not the comfortable kind. The kind where you can feel anger radiating off someone. But they won't say anything because they know they're wrong. We got home around midnight. She went straight to the bedroom. I stayed downstairs, poured myself a drink, sat in the dark living room. About 20 minutes later, she came back down. Why didn't you tell me? She said, tell you what, that you were leading that project. That it was such a big deal. I took a sip of my drink. You knew I worked with your company. You never asked for details. You could have mentioned it. Why? So you could tell me it wasn't a big deal, that anyone could have done it? I looked at her. Like you did with my promotion. She flinched. That's different. How? I was having a bad day. I didn't mean it the way it came out. You told me not to act proud. You said my promotion was nothing special. And tonight, when your CEO publicly thanked me in front of 300 people, you couldn't even look at me. That's not fair. What's not fair is that I've spent 6 years celebrating every single one of your achievements. And the one time I accomplished something significant, you tear it down. I stood up. Your friends noticed, by the way, at the table. They saw how you reacted or didn't react. Her face went red. What are you talking about? You lowered your head the second the CEO praised my work. Your friend asked if you knew about it and you could barely put a sentence together. Everyone saw it. You're being dramatic, am I? Because from where I'm standing, it looked like you were embarrassed that your husband got recognition at your company event. Like it bothered you that people were congratulating me instead of you. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. I just wasn't expecting it. Neither was I, but I would have handled it better if the roles were reversed. I walked past her and went upstairs, slept in the guest room that night. Update 3. The next morning, Sunday, she was already up when I came downstairs. She'd made coffee, was sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop. We need to talk, she said. I poured myself coffee, sat across from her. Okay, I've been thinking about what you said. About how I reacted to your promotion, she paused. Maybe I wasn't as supportive as I should have been. Maybe I wasn't. I know I wasn't. She closed her laptop. The truth is, I was jealous. You got promoted and I've been passed over twice in the past year. It's not fair of me to take that out on you. But that's what I did. I didn't say anything. Let her continue. And last night when the CEO thanked you, I felt like everyone was looking at me, judging me, like they were thinking her husband did this huge project for the company and she didn't even know about it. It made me look bad. So your concern is how it made you look. No, that's not. She stopped herself. Okay, yes, partially. But also, I felt stupid. Like I should have known. Like I should have been involved somehow. I kept work separate because I thought that's what we wanted. We never talk about the details of our jobs with each other. That was always the rule. I know, she rubbed her face. I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to explain what I did. Dismissing your promotion, acting weird at the dinner, it was wrong. I'm sorry. I stared at my coffee. The apology felt necessary but not sufficient. Like she was sorry because she got caught. Because her friends noticed. Not because she actually understood what she'd done to me. Do you even know why I got that promotion? I asked. Because of the project with my company. Because I worked 70-hour weeks for 8 months straight. Because I sacrificed weekends and evenings. Because I proved I could lead a team and deliver results under pressure. It wasn't given to me. I earned it. I know that. Do you? Because when I told you about it, you said anyone could get that position. Like it was nothing. Like I was nothing. She looked down. I said, I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't erase how that felt. You're my wife. You're supposed to be the person who's proudest of me, who celebrates my wins. Instead, you made me feel like my achievement didn't matter. Silence. What do you want me to do? She asked quietly. I want you to understand that this isn't just about jealousy or having a bad day. This is about respect, about partnership. We're supposed to build each other up, not tear each other down. You're right. And I want you to figure out why you couldn't just be happy for me. Because if you can't be happy when good things happen to me, what kind of marriage do we have? She didn't have an answer to that. Update 4. Over the next few weeks, things were strange between us. She tried harder, acknowledged when I work late, asked about my projects, even suggested we go out to celebrate my promotion properly. We went to dinner, nice place downtown. She toasted me, said all the right things, but it felt performative, like she was checking boxes. The real shift came about a month after the dinner. She came home one evening looking exhausted. Bad day? I asked. My friend from work, the one who sat next to me at the dinner. She asked me if everything was okay between us. I waited. She said, "Everyone at our table noticed how I acted when the CEO thanked you. How I didn't congratulate you. Didn't seem happy. She wanted to make sure we weren't having problems." My wife sat down heavily. I told her everything was fine, but she didn't believe me. She said it was obvious I was uncomfortable with your success, and that it didn't look good. She's not wrong, I know. And it made me realize something. I've been so focused on my own career, on my own achievements, that I turned into someone who can't celebrate anyone else's wins. Even yours, especially yours maybe, because you're the person closest to me. And that means your success somehow feels like my failure. That's a messed up way to see a marriage. I know, she looked at me. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the wife who resents her husband for doing well. That's not who I thought I was. So, what are you going to do about it? I started seeing a therapist. Had my first session yesterday. She paused. I think I have some issues with self-worth tied to my career. When things don't go the way I planned professionally, I spiral, and instead of dealing with it, I lash out at the people around me. I nodded slowly. That's a good start. I know an apology isn't enough. I know I hurt you, but I want to fix this. I want to be better. I want that too. We sat there for a while, not saying anything. It wasn't fixed, not even close, but it felt like we were finally having an honest conversation about the real problem. Update 5. 2 months after the dinner incident, something unexpected happened that changed everything. I got a call from the CEO of my wife's company. He wanted to meet for coffee, just the two of us. I agreed, curious about what he wanted. We met at a place near his office on a Wednesday morning. He ordered black coffee, got straight to the point. "I wanted to talk to you about something personal," he said. "It's about your wife." My stomach dropped. "What about her?" "After that dinner where I thanked you publicly, I started noticing things. The way she interacts with her team. The way she responds when others get recognition. She's talented, no question. But there's a pattern of behavior that's concerning." He went on to explain that several team members had complained about her being dismissive when they achieved something. One junior employee had been in tears after my wife minimized her successful project presentation. Another colleague mentioned that she'd made snide comments about someone else's promotion. "I'm telling you this because I think she needs help," he said. "And because what happened at that dinner, the way she reacted to your success, it made me realize this isn't just a work problem. It's deeper than that." I sat there processing. What are you going to do? I've already spoken to her, told her she needs to work on her team dynamics, or it'll affect her career progression. But I wanted you to know because, well, if she's doing this at work, I imagine it's happening at home too. He was right. And suddenly, I understood why she'd been passed over for promotion twice. It wasn't bad luck or office politics. It was her. When I got home that evening, I told her about the meeting. She was furious at first. Said the CEO had no right to discuss her work performance with me. But then she broke down, clears throat. "I don't know how to stop," she said, crying. "Every time someone succeeds, it feels like they're taking something from me. Like there's only so much success to go around, and if they have it, I can't. That's not how it works. I know, logically I know, but I can't help how I feel." That conversation led to more therapy sessions, both individual and couples. Her therapist diagnosed her with some deep-seated insecurity, issues stemming from her childhood. Apparently, her parents had constantly compared her to her older sibling, always pointing out where she fell short. She'd internalized the idea that love and worth were conditional on achievement and that anyone else's success diminished her own value. Understanding the root cause didn't fix everything overnight, but it helped. She started working on it, really working on it. She began actively celebrating small wins. Mine, her colleagues, even strangers' achievements. It was forced at first, mechanical, but over time it became more natural. Final update. It's been 5 months since everything happened. My wife is still in therapy, and we're still doing couples counseling. The CEO's intervention was actually a turning point. She realized her behavior wasn't just affecting our marriage. It was destroying her professional reputation, too. Last week, something happened that showed me real progress. I came home to find her in the kitchen cooking an elaborate dinner. The table was set with candles. The champagne I'd bought months ago was chilled and ready. "What's this?" I asked. "A proper celebration for your promotion. The one I should have given you 5 months ago." We sat down and she raised her glass. "To you, to your hard work, your talent, and your success. I'm proud of you." I should have said that the first time, and I'm sorry it took me this long to get here. It wasn't just the words, it was the way she said them. With genuine warmth, without the tightness in her jaw, without the forced smile, she meant it. We're not perfect. We still have moments where old patterns try to resurface. But now we catch them, talk about them, work through them. She got promoted last month, a different position than she'd wanted, but a step forward. And when she told me I celebrated her, she thanked me, then added, "I'm going to celebrate you the same way from now on." That's a promise. Her colleagues have noticed the change too. Her friend from work told me she's been different. More supportive, more collaborative, less competitive in a toxic way. It's made a difference in her team dynamics. As for me, I learned that sometimes the people we love can hurt us not because they don't care, but because they're carrying wounds they don't know how to heal. The question is whether they're willing to face those wounds and do the work. My wife chose to do the work. That's why we're still together. Edit 1. People keep asking if I ever considered divorce. Honestly, yes. There were nights after that dinner where I seriously thought about it, but I decided to give her a real chance to change. Not just apologize, but actually change. If she hadn't started therapy, if she hadn't acknowledged the problem, I would have left. But she did, and that made all the difference. Edit 2. The CEO later told me that after our conversation, he implemented a company-wide workshop on supporting colleagues in building positive team culture. My wife had to attend, and apparently it was eye-opening for several people. Not just her. Sometimes a public moment of discomfort can lead to important growth. Edit 3. For those curious about the champagne, yes, we finally drank it 5 months later. It was probably not at its best anymore, but it tasted like victory to me. Not because I'd won some battle against my wife, but because we'd both survived a rough period and came out stronger. That's worth celebrating.